परिसर्वजने शिवे शृङ्गारार्द्रा परिसरजने कुत्सनपरा सरोषा गंगाया सरोषा गंगाया तिरिशनयने विस्मयवती हराहिभीता सरसिरुख सौभाग्य जननी हराहिभ्यो भीता सरसिरुख सौभाग्य जननी सखीषु मेरासे मयि जननी दृष्टि सकरुणा मयि जननी दृष्टि सकरुणा मयि जननी दृष्टि सकरुणा श्रीकाम करुणा कटाक्षि श्रीकाम करुणा कटाक्षि कामकोटि पीठस्थिते करुणा कटाक्षि कामकोटि पीठस्थिते करुणा कटाक्षि कामकोटि पीठस्थिते करुणा कटाक्षि कामपति निलये नमामि कामाक्षि कामकोटि पीठस्थिते करुणा कटाक्षि कामपति निलये नमामि நிலையே அம்பகதம்பவன நிலையே அம்பகதம்பவன நிலையே தேவி கதம்பவன நிலையே அம்ப கஞ்சலோச்சனே பவானி 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 கதம்பவன நிலையே அம்பா கஞ்சலோச்சனே பவானி கதம்பவன நிலையே.
It's 20 hours.
Namaskar. Shashank Chaudhary, Center for Civilizational Studies at Rethink India Institute welcomes you all on this very special commemoration of the Janma Jayanti of Adi Shankaracharya, who in his very small lifespan of 32 years crisscrossed this entire sacred Sanatan Bharat and re-established the primacy of the Vedic Hinduism per se. We at Rethink India, we at the Shashank Chaudhary Center for Civilization Studies, we asked a question that we, the native Hindus of this grand nation, fought for around a little less than 5 centuries to restore the magnanimous, the Ram temple at Ayodhya. But when Mir Baki demolished this historic temple in 1528, little he knew that 4 years after the demolition, India would see a savant in Goswami Tulasidas, who mentioned, who in his poetical self, who aspired for that ideal state of Rajya. So today we felt from the day of Akshaya Tritiya, 2 days after this, that from Ram Mandir to Rajya, how this journey would now transcend. So we invited a series of savants to give their actionable sutras for Dharmic governance, which can usher the Rajya of the aspirations of the great Manishis, the great savants of this, this sacred nation. And today we have the great good fortune of having one such savant in M. Nageshwara Rao Garu, who happens to be a top cop who adorned the Central Bureau of Investigation, after which, like all the people having all kind of corrupt acts, they are so scared out of it. So after his almost 4 decades of phenomenal career in the police service and then heading the CBI, he is now taking forward the civilizational bureau, he's civilizational bolstering of India, and armed with a very deep knack into the colonial constructs, the colonial constraints which shackled this grand nation. Nageshwar Garu has got a deep insight into the civilizational constructs of Bharat. And when we requested him to give away his actionable sutra for the Dharmic governance, for the ushering of Ram Rajya, he came up with a very strong thesis of his, where he has enunciated the amendment of the Article 25 of the Constitution. So I would now pass on to Nageshwara Garu to give away his actionable sutra, a very pinpointed one which can be implemented, and then we can be a one step forward to the collective aspiration of this 1.33 billion Bharatvasis for Ram Rajya. Over to Nageshwara Garu sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this talk. I would like to know what is the duration of the talk. Accordingly, I would try to.
It's open-ended, Nageshwara Garu. Just the subject matter has to be put forward, and the whole idea was we have to document these sutras so that we can have an actionable agenda going forward for Ram Rajya. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I convey my Dharmic greetings to all the Hindus and Indians and all the humanity on the auspicious occasion of the Sri Adi Shankara's birthday. Today is a very auspicious day. Now, Adi Shankara is not any of the Swamijis or Gurus or Acharyas that we had. He was the person who realized some 2600 or 2700 years ago that Dharma requires both Shastra and Shastra. Without Shastra cannot survive, and without Shastra will be meaningless. So, as we have already mentioned, within 32 years of his life, he has traversed the whole country. In those days, I don't know what kind of means of communication he had, and established 4 mathas, or Shankar mathas, which they are called. Sringeri in south, and Puri in east, Dwaraka in west, and Joshi Math in north. Each one was assigned with the responsibility of one particular Veda and also other responsibilities. And then the little known fact is that he also established 18 akhadas. Akhada is a apabhramsa of the word akhand. Akhand means the one which has integrity, which cannot be broken. So the purpose of these akhadas was to ensure that the Bharatvarsh remains Bharatvarsh, not just Bharatvarsh, the Hindu Dharma remains akhanda. That means Hindu Dharma remains integral or integrated. So it is with that purpose he started. So in other words, what we can credit Adi Shankara is institutionalization of Hinduism. He is in the recorded history, probably he is, because he still remains with us. He is the only great person who institutionalized religion, who gave certain institutions which survive even till today, for 2700 years ago. Of course, akhadas have gone into disuse, or they are no longer being patronized, and but still some remnants of akhadas you still find in some places. So this institutionalization of Hinduism is what is needed, or reinstitutionalize of Hinduism to meet the current challenges that it faces from both from within and without, is what is needed. So we need, we pray and we need another Adi Shankara to take birth and guide us. So this is a message that we should take on the auspicious occasion of Adi Shankara's birthday. And so that's it. And I think I would request you to ask me questions so that I would be able to answer, rather than me indulging in a monologue.
True. So, you have this very interesting thesis, like that this was a very important actionable part, that the Article 25 posits some kind of a restriction, some kind of a asymmetric kind of a freedom to proselytizing religions. And the way the Ram Mandir was demolished in 1528 based on that intolerant act, somehow or the other, the Hindu society at large and Hindu institutions in particular, they face a threat pertaining to this constitutional construct. Somewhere or the other, it demonetizes the agencies of the majority community in some way or the other. So we would like to know deeply about the fallacies, the structural fallacies which come into practice because of this constitutional construct.
Yeah, I think I have tweeted. I think you saw the tweet. Tweet threads I made yesterday. The 25 tweets I made.
Yes.
Briefly explaining the issue. The topic which I dealt in those tweets is essentially the organized religious conversions is changing the demographic character of India and thereby the character of our civilization. It is a destruction of our civilization. So how is it happening? People, one must first understand that a large number of Hindu-minded Hindus, I'm talking of Hindu-minded Hindus, they dismiss the constitution as anti-Hindu, and many of them may not have even read. Their source of information is secondary or even tertiary. And then the other majority Hindus, they think that there is nothing wrong with the constitution because it was given by Dr. Ambedkar. So therefore, it must be the greatest constitution. And Ambedkar himself has said in September 1953 in Rajya Sabha, saying that he is not the author of the constitution. He was asked to do a job and he did it. So that was the thing. So attributing the constitution making to Ambedkar is in fact an injustice to Ambedkar, because in my view, if Ambedkar had really been given this job of making the constitution, we would not be having the problems that we are having. So therefore, Ambedkar himself said he would be the first person to burn this constitution. This particular thing is available in the records of the Rajya Sabha. So I'm quoting only from that. So now the problem with the constitution is that a constitution is essentially a political document or a document for political governance of the country. It is nothing more or nothing less. It is simply, for instance, if you have a company, a big company, then they have manuals of how to do the corporate governance, how to do the accounting, how to do the financial management, HR policies, and such other kind of things. Since likewise, India as a country, or any country for that matter in the modern day democracies, they require some written form of primary document based on which the political governance of the country is performed. So it is nothing more, elevating the status of the constitution to the level of a divine book, or something is given by God or somebody, or by a prophet or by some other persons, and then taking that book on the horse back and in a public street in processions, or doing namaskar or doing naman to that particular book, in fact, is a great injustice. And some people have gone to the extent of even comparing it as with Gita or Bible or Quran and all that. This is a great injustice to not only to constitution but also to these great religious books. So we should first remove any such kind of divinity assigned to the constitution. And so now let's come to the constitution per se. The most problematic thing in the constitution, our constitution, is chapter 3 of the constitution, which is about articles, which deals with the fundamental rights. Nothing, the rest of the thing is only about normal governance issues, which we are not concerned. So these fundamental rights, these fundamental rights seek to establish a new civilization or a new culture or a new religion by trying to substitute or by trying to destroy the ancient civilization of India. I do not accuse the majority framers of the constitution of this conspiracy, because they were over enthusiastic in their effort to import and transport or transplant the secular liberal values of the West, of which they were familiar because of their education, into the Indian constitution, because they thought that the West at that point of time, the role model they had was the Western secular values, which they wanted to transplant India, little realizing the fact that now, even now the West itself is now imploding, and it is now being getting into what is called getting Islamized very fast. The same problem we are also facing here. The only thing is that at least no, they are responsible for what they have created, because secular liberalism is their creation. But we are doubly responsible, because in our stupidity or in our over enthusiasm to copy, to do the Western copying of the Western ideas, we incorporated all those values into it. And as part of that secular liberal values, Article 25 provides for what is called right to, it's there, right to right of freedom to profess, practice and propagate religion to all citizens. I think it is all persons, I believe. I think whosoever has done it, I think he has not done correctly. It is all persons have. Even non-citizens do have the right to profess religion. So it is not citizens. I think it is not properly copied. Now this, before we analyze the impact of this Article 25 on the religious demography and the consequent destruction of the Hindu civilization, so we should first understand the role of demography here. As someone has famously said, demography is destiny. So because demography is the carrier of the religion, it is the carrier of the civilization, it is the carrier of the culture. Because a single person cannot carry these things, because civilization, religion and culture and all these things, they are the collective wealth of the people, and only that can be carried only collectively. It cannot be carried individually. Now, if you see there are basically, as you know, there are three most numerous religions. That is, number one is Christianity, number two is Islam, and number three is Hinduism. How they are handling the issue of demography. Now, the basic purpose of the Christianity and Islam, which are called Abrahamic religions, their purpose is to expand and cover the whole world. That means only people of their faith ought to be there, or ought to occupy the whole world, and rest should not be there. So therefore, expansionism is built into their theology. What is the expansionism? By demography. And demographical expansion leads to geographical expansion, which is because people require space or the geography to survive. Now, till the colonialism prevailed, if you see, the West actually occupied rest of the world, because it was the Christian thought which motivated them to colonize the world and convert those non-Christians into Christians. The colonialism, the motive behind colonialism was first Christianity, Christian expansion, and second, of course, is economic exploitation, and then those economic things, issues are also there. Now, how did it happen? There was a demographic explosion in Europe during that period, in 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. And secondly, they were motivated by the religious considerations, though in their outward expressions and outward talks, they would conceal or they would camouflage that. And to all the places where the colonialism or the places which have been colonized, they have mostly been converted into Christianity. You take Americas, you take Australia, you take much of New Zealand, you take even of course, Asia, they could not do much, but they did plant their seeds, which have sprouted well, and they are becoming big trees. For instance, South Korea now is 70% Christian in a matter of 60 to 70 years. So while this is happening, because of the secular liberalism and prosperity, they have become the Europeans became very lazy. They started enjoying the hard work of their ancestors or ancestors, and they became very selfish also, because they refused to have more than one or two children. As a result, entire Europe, even from Russia to UK and every country, their birth rate is less than 2.1, because 2.1 is the minimum required for replacement of the population. Now, this has created a big vacuum in the younger age group of the demography, and coupled with their prosperity led to laziness. So they lost the spirit of adventurism, they lost the spirit of fighting, they lost the spirit of all other things. They became only what is called enjoying the good life. Now, this coupled with the reduction in the demography and then laziness and all that, this created a vacuum whereby the Middle East and Islamic countries, they are occupying through immigration, both legal and illegal. So it is estimated that in another 30, 40 years, probably the Europe will be Arabia if the current trends continue. I mean, what a sad state. Just 200 till 100 years ago, Europe was the dominant player in the world affairs, and now they are being subsumed into some other rival religion. So, but one fact which goes in favor of Christianity is that even though the West is imploding in terms of Christianity, elsewhere in Asia, Australia, and then Americas, the Christianity is growing, and it is growing strong, both in terms of the demography as well as conversions and such other things. So therefore, you can say that there is a balloon effect on the Christian demography, in the sense that while the West is, while the Europe is going down, the other side, the rest of the world, the Christianity is getting strong. So in that sense, there is a balance effect. So there's no net loss as far as the Christianity is concerned, even though the primary source, geographical source of inspiration, they may be losing from the European perspective. Then the second one is about the Islamic demography. If you see the Islam since its inception in 7th century, there has been a continuous expansion, like as it is said in physics. So right now, after the Big Bang, the universe is continuing to expand. It has not reached a stage where it will lead to stagnation and then contraction. So currently, Islamic geography as well as demography, both are on the expansionary mode. Except there was one exception, that is Spain. They have not lost any territory so far, except Spain, in the sense, Spain after 700 years has been reconquered by the Christians and to make it a Christian country. This happened, I think, around 400-500 years or even more. More exact dates I don't remember. So barring that one exception, Islam has been continually expanding, both in demographic and geographical terms. Now let's come to the third one, that is Hinduism. We are the third largest religion in terms of numbers, not in terms of power or in terms of the unity or in terms of the effort to work as a religious force anywhere in the world. Now, our actually the demography or our downfall, you can say, has started with the advent of the Islam. The first attack was on Sindh. In fact, we lost Afghanistan, that is our Hindu country. Even Persia was 50%, kind of Iran was a kind of, because the Zoroastrian religion has close connection with Hindu religion. Then the proper lands that we first lost was Afghanistan. And then Sindh has gone, Sindh was gone, Baluchistan was gone, and then all those have gone. Since then, we are only losing both geography as well as the demography, relative demography. When I speak demography, it does not mean absolute demography. It has to be seen as a, understood as a relative demography. So we have lost, we have been losing continually. Now in 1947, we have lost 1/3 of the geography without any commensurate benefit to the remainder of the country, religious benefit. So even though Ambedkar has vehemently advocated complete transfer of the population, because the fundamental basis and premise on which the partition was done was a religion. Now, if you do not accept that premise and do not transfer the population, that means why go for partition at all? This was his idea, and this was his forceful argument. But unfortunately, all the Congress and other leaders, they did not listen to him, and therefore partition has not solved any problem. Rather, it has created more problems. So we lost territory, we lost geography. Now, after independence, thanks to this Article 25, we have a large number of states like Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, then Lakshadweep, then Kashmir, part of the, even Kashmir, even if you see the current Kashmir also. Kashmir, if it is valley, it is complete. If it is the Jammu and Kashmir, then it is the majority. So we have lost Hindu majority, or the, I call, indigenous majority. Because some people may have some kind of objection if you use only Hindu. But then Article 25 itself defines what is Hindu. It says Hindu means, Hindu includes Jain, Buddha and Sikh. So I use that word Hindu in that sense. When I use the word Hindu, it means Jain, Buddha and Sikh also included. Also, I add other indigenous spiritual traditions which have been there in many places, in interior areas, in forests and other areas. So Nagaland we lost completely after independence. There is not even one Hindu there, at least. To my knowledge, maybe some negligible. Mizoram is so. And Meghalaya is 95% non-Hindu or non-indigenous religions. Even Arunachal, people say that more than 60% have been converted. Lakshadweep is zero. There are no Hindus there. Then Kashmir Valley is zero, because Kashmir religious persecution happened just 30 years ago. And even Kerala, if you see, we are a minority, because if you combine Abrahamic religions, both Islam and Christianity, Hindus are around 45. And if you take out communists, who are then there will hardly be 5 to 10% Hindus, because most of the communists are Hindus only, are nominal Hindus at least. So like this, and in many, apart from the states, there are many districts, many villages, many mohallas, which are 100% or 90% or 80% non-indigenous religious majority. So in that sense, the Article 25 has done greatest damage ever. Even what Muhammad bin Qasim could not do on Sindh, or Gauri, or Ghazni, or Mughals, or even the entire British could not do on Hindu civilization, Article 25 has done that because Article 25 allows propagation. Propagation means you are invited propagation as a constitutional fundamental right, which means that you are inviting people to come and convert our people. It's like you are keeping your the main door of your house open and asking burglars to come and commit theft from your house. It is as simple as this. No nation, no self-respecting civilization, no self-respecting nation would allow this kind of intrusion, would allow this kind of alteration or changing its demography, and thereby killing the carriers of civilization, carriers of dharma, and destruction of ancient civilization, native and civilization. So this is the effect of Article 25. And then you please ask, because I'm also getting bored of being monologue. Ask some questions.
So, the purport, what you gave, the background, what you, in the current progressive sense, one question apart from the topic or the sutra, what you are saying, people try to question that, as you said, the secular liberal nations, they are inherently religious in their own structures, but somehow or the other in India, whenever we try to assert our Hindu foundations, our own indigenous foundations, it is lamented upon because of the secular constitution. So this is a kind of a very dubious design which has got impregnated very smartly. So being someone who has been in the law enforcement, coming to the more logical perspective of it all, why it is so very important for a nation state, for even a modern nation state, to maintain its religious demography intact? Can you cite certain global examples for the larger, I would say, so-called rational viewers or listeners of ours, why it is so very important to maintain and defend our religious demography so that it doesn't look like more of a regressive conversation? This is what all nations do. So, sir.
You see, everyone, be it an individual or a group or a community or a nation, has a certain identity or a primary identity.
Mm-hmm.
What is the identity of Arabs now?
Mm-hmm.
The identity of Arabs are that they are Muslims.
Okay.
What is the identity of the Western nations, even though they are liberal democracies? They are Christians. What is the identity of, let's say, Sri Lankans? Buddhists. Or Myanmar Buddhists. Then what is the identity of Pakistanis? Till 1947, they were part of India. But what is their identity? They are Muslims. What is the identity of Bangladeshis? It is Muslim. So religion is the primary identifying force, whether you like it or not. In fact, that is the reason why all kinds of modern isms, they target religion. Basically, they target Abrahamic religion, but Abrahamic religions have given them back because they are organized and institutionalized. So therefore, the entire might of it fell on Hinduism, which is not an organized religion in that particular sense. Mm-hmm. So religion being the primary identity of both individual, community, as well as nations. How can you say that no, we are not, we don't have the identity? Suppose bereft of Hindu, we are bereft of this one. What is our identity? Can they call us a secular? Is secularism our identity? It cannot be secular. Now, being liberal is identity? No, it's not our identity. So, and then what informs our civilization? Because we are inheritors of one of the oldest civilizations surviving in the world. That is Hinduism or Hindu civilization or whatever name you call it, ancient Hindu civilization or ancient. What informs that particular civilization? That civilization is informed and premised on the Sanatana Dharma, on Hinduism, on Jainism, on Buddhism, on Sikhism, which have developed, which have sprouted from the same, from this land, which come from the same fount. Our civilization is not informed by the Islam, nor is it informed by the Christianity. Yes, certain elements of the Islam and Christianity may have crept into it, but that is not the primary source of inspiration or the bedrock for ancient Hindu civilization. Now, if you negate it, if you say that, no, we negate Hinduism, I am not a Hindu, this one, that means you are negating your identity. It is as good as negating that you are not an Indian. If I go abroad and I say that I am not an Indian, then how ridiculous it looks. Because being within India, you can talk any nonsense and say that this. But go outside and say that you forget about Hinduism. Can you negate your Indian citizenship? Can you negate your Indian identity? You cannot. So any nation, is informed primarily by its majority religion. Of course, other religions can coexist. Particularly when it comes to Hinduism, we are not against others. But that doesn't mean that in order to please others, you cannot negate your own self-identity. In fact, the other person will respect you more when you assert your identity. So it's like a person who cannot respect himself cannot expect others to respect him. Similarly, if we do not respect our civilization, our dharma, our Hinduism, our Jainism, our Buddhism, our Sikhism, our indigenous religion, how can you expect others to respect our religion? So this is the one. And the next, logically, what it flows is, now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You see, what is a state? State means the nation state or a state. It is more than the government. Government is only a part of the state, because the state includes the judiciary, the legislature, the government, all other organs and of the that function in the. How the state is formed? The state is formed by a group of people. And what is the identity of that group of people? They have a religious identity, that group of people. So that religious identity of the group of people automatically gets transposed onto the state. Whether you express it or whether it is in an implied way. So in the case of India, the majority people of this country are Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, and Sikhs. And these are the people who follow the indigenous religions. Now, when the state is formed, this state comprises, this nation state or a civilization state comprises a majority of these people. So naturally, the Indian state, whether it says so or doesn't say so, it is a Hindu in conception. Or Hindu in its identity. It may not be even in conception, because this state, the Indian state conception is by the constitution, but in its identity it is Hindu. You go to any country, others will say that no, you are Hindu. Whereas we say that we are not Hindu.
Got it.
It is something like, everyone accuses RSS BJP of being Hindu, but RSS BJP themselves say that no, we are not Hindu. We are secular. Bhagwa ke liye hamara kuch lena dena nahi hai. Some such kind of thing. So it is a larger problem with Hindus also. We negate ourselves, our identity, but others say that no, you are a Hindu. So now this is the first one, the identity of the state. The second is whose responsibility it is to protect, preserve, and nurture the religion and civilization. That's a fundamental question. Who would nurture, who would protect, who would preserve our ancient civilization, primarily informed with Sanatana Dharma? Because when you say you are a secular country, fine. But now who would be this one? I say secularism is essentially, it is a type of governance. It does not and should not inform the state, identity of the state.
Got it.
Okay. Now I say that the responsibility for the religion and lies with both people, that is its adherents, as well as the state, Indian state. Adherents because they have to learn the religion and they have to transmit it to the next generation. They have to live that religion, live Hinduism. Hindu should live Hinduism. Sikh should live Sikhism. Jain should live Jainism, and then Buddhists should do this one. And these are all complementary to each other. They are not contradictory as far as, because they come out of the same Gangotri, same source. So we have no problem with this. The responsibility of the people is this, that intergenerational transmission of the religion and living that religion, this is the responsibility of people. But then collective preservation, collective protection, nurturing is by the Indian state. Why? Because
you made a very important observation in your thread that all Islamic countries, China and even Greece.
I'll come to point. This one part of it remained.
Yeah.
So the Indian state, being a collection, being the body or a collective body of the Indians, majority of which are people of indigenous religions, it automatically becomes the custodian and a trustee of the indigenous religions.
Okay.
Because the political power has been transferred. My political power, I transfer to the Indian state. Your political power, you have transferred it to the Indian state. Now, along with the transferring that particular political power to the Indian state, there is a commensurate obligation on the part of the Indian state to take care of what is required of that political power. That is to protect, preserve, and nurture our religion, our ancient civilization. Now, someone may say that no, we are a secular country as per the constitution. So, how can we take care of the Indian state, take care of the Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism, which are indigenous religion? That is a communal state. Then my counter question is that if Indian state is not the custodian and trustee of our indigenous religions and civilization, do you think America or the UK or Saudi Arabia will be custodians of it? What a stupid question is this? A lot of people ask it. Nothing can be more stupid than this one. But this has been asked to me. That's why I'm answering this question for a larger audience. So therefore, a constitution ought to preserve, protect, and nurture Indian civilization and all the religions that have originated within India, while governing the country in a secular fashion.
Terrific, sir. Terrific. You have given that nuance of it all, that secular, the state's identity cannot be secular. It has to be the custodian of the indigenous faiths.
Yes.
It's a form of governance. Being secular is a mode of governance where state is not discriminating on the basis of religion.
Exactly.
On its state functions.
Yes.
Perfect. I think it's a very, 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 very subtle nuance, and that's what this whole confusion which rests all through that our own indigenous identity we just cannot exercise over there, and this is what you have somehow tried to address, that this Trojan horse into the constitution, perhaps.
No, it's not a Trojan horse, is a negative term. It's not a Trojan horse. What I say is, what is the purpose of a constitution? See, the India does not live for constitution. Indian people does not live for constitution.
Okay.
It is the constitution that we have made. That is an instrument for us. For instance, I need to, suppose from Hyderabad to Delhi, I have to travel by road. I purchased a vehicle or I hired a vehicle. I am not the vehicle. Vehicle cannot determine my journey. I determine the journey. So for which the vehicle should be good, so that it should be able to take it. It is not that it's not the reverse. The problem is we are trying to retrofit ourselves into the constitution rather than fitting the constitution into our purpose.
I think on the day of Avataran of Advait Vedant's Prakashaka, Shankaracharya, ki Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. So we are not saying constitution is Mithya, but the purpose is to serve the people and their beliefs and their identity, not the other way around, which has somehow been made in these 7 decades or so.
Yes.
So we would just, for the larger audience, tell us about the global case studies. People are assertively doing it. They have banned conversions of their own native faiths. So this point 16, this was so very, I would say, fact which is not known to us largely. So would you please delve a bit more on this, that what gives them that confidence that they have banned conversions of any sorts in their nation states by law?
You see, there are nearly 100 Christian countries and around 50 to 60 Muslim countries are Muslim majority countries, and around 7, 8 or 10 Buddhist countries, and few communist countries, and India is countries like India and all that. Now, almost all, in fact, Islam prohibits any sort of conversion, outward conversion. So it is the Islamic principle that has been embedded into their governance. Islamic governance are the countries which have majority Muslims, whereby they prohibit any sort of conversion out of Islam. So it is given. So, and then Islam also prescribes that the only punishment for outward conversion is death, nothing else. So, this is just 1 second. I think the AC is not working.
Sir.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Now, so all Islamic countries have banned any conversion out. Inward conversion is permitted, but not outward conversion. Then China has banned it for its own reasons, and they have been to a large extent they have been successful also. In fact, no, China, in the name of in the garb of communism, it also promotes its own indigenous civilization to a large extent. So it has not abandoned indigenous civilization, unlike Indian communists, who are the biggest enemies of Indian civilization. It's a very strange thing. They take inspiration from China, they take inspiration from the erstwhile USSR. Erstwhile USSR, in fact, was actually promoting the Russian civilization. And the Chinese, China promotes Chinese civilization, whereas Indian communists, they promote anything but Hindu or indigenous India. So China has banned it. And interestingly, the Greece have banned it.
Okay.
Greece is one country. In their constitution, they have banned Article 12, 12 I think, no, 12 or 13.
13.2, sir.
13 and clause 2 of the Greece constitution clearly spells out that proselytization is banned.
Okay.
Simple. So now you see the reason why this is because Abrahamist conversions have created havoc in the world in the last 2000 years. Now you see all the organized form of violence and wars, sustained wars or terrorism or such other things flow from certain theological concepts of the from Abrahamic theology. So in the last 2000 years, the world has not seen any real peace. Wherever Abrahamism has gone, they created havoc, bloodshed, invasions, annihilations, genocides, and whatnot. Yeah. So therefore, countries have realized, some of the countries have realized it, and some countries, after they have achieved their theological purpose of 100% population of their religion, now they banned it so that nobody can go out. The purpose could be very. And it is only in India, which is the major civilizational nation, ancient civilization, that not only allows, but rather gives license, invites people to come. You come here and convert our people. That is what that's how Nagaland has been converted. That's how Mizoram has been converted. That's how Meghalaya is under conversion. That is how large tracts of India. There is no place in this country today or village which does not have at least one church. How did it happen? How did in such a short span of 72 years of the constitution coming into force of the constitution? 1300 years, all our ancestors, they sacrificed their lives, their wealth, their honor to protect and preserve our dharma. It is only in India the sword of Islam was blunted. No other place. And yet, in just 72 years of the Constitution, we have completely negated the sacrifice of so many crores of our ancestors. So what kind of purpose the Constitution is achieving? Is it on the one hand, the Constitution is meant to protect it. On the other hand, Article 25, it invites and enables conversion of Indian people. And as I said, conversion is not a simple individual conversion. You see, an individual is not a social, is a social animal. He doesn't live in isolation. You and I don't live in isolation. We live with a family, we live with a society, we live it in a village, in a community, in a nation, in a state. Now, how can my right, my freedom take precedence over the collective freedoms, collective rights, and collective purpose of existence or survival of the community, of the family, of the nation, of religion, of civilization? It cannot. Now, if tomorrow you extend the same logic, you say that no, anyone can do anything against India because it is his right. If you can make sedition as a crime that is going against the government as a crime, how is it permissible that people going against their own religion is not criminal, is not a crime? Because the Constitution cannot be selective. When you are protecting one collective entity, you should also protect another collective entity called religion. Even the other collective entity is family. So many anti-family laws have been passed. Because a family or a civilization or a religion or a civilization is a living entity. It's not a dead entity. So every living entity has the right of existence. And how can the Constitution negate that right of existence? When an individual can live, can have the constitutional fundamental right to life, so also the family, so also the community, so also the religion. Hinduism as a religion has a right of existence. Nobody can deny it. But how is it the Constitution does it? This is the thing that the word propagate, one word, propagate, has caused so much of destruction.
So this removal of this very fault line into the constitutional framework would pave the path for more protections against proselytization. This is what you intend to surmise, sir?
See, this would be a beginning.
This would be beginning.
Because you see, just because you remove a particular thing that does not ipso facto or automatically move, but at least this is the biggest invitation. It's like sealing your borders. After sealing your border, then you have to work hard to strengthen your country. So likewise, the word propagate, in fact, there were great men in the Constituent Assembly, like Pandit Loknath Mishra, then I think Purushottam Das Tandon, Algu Rai Sastri. Some of these people, they vehemently opposed. And you know who is responsible for this? Can you guess? Let's make it a little lively. So, the one for whom a biggest statue in India or world has been erected in Gujarat. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. How did it happen? I take 1 minute to explain. When the Constituent Assembly was formed, it created various committees. The fundamental rights and the committee of the fundamental rights and tribals was headed by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and consisting other members which he chose, or the committee chose as per their procedure. And it is that committee which has prescribed Articles 25 to 30 for subjugation of Hinduism, for destruction of Hinduism. And when the Constituent Assembly returned some of these articles, their proposals, recommendations of the Fundamental Rights Committee headed by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel reiterated the same. No, they have to be there. And by putting his weight,
Mhm.
political weight, he ensured that these articles are pushed through in the Constituent Assembly, because he was the second most important leader in the Constituent Assembly after Jawaharlal Nehru. So using his political weight, he passed it through. And now we worship him by erecting the tallest statue, and we call him Iron Man. For what?
And the Statue of Unity, we call it.
No. What unity? For subjugating Hinduism?
Mhm.
In fact, I have written an article which is published in Pragyata.
Mhm.
What is this one, Iron Man, something that I have written around 3-4 months ago. I did not give my opinion. I simply quoted from the Constituent Assembly proceedings. What all happened in the Constituent Assembly proceedings, I gave it. So the problem with Hindus is that worshipping false gods is the biggest problem with Hindus. We do not know who has caused us harm, and then we worship him as
So
if
was it a excessive play of liberalism on the part of Patel, or he was
yes.
ill-informed, or he could not
Yeah.
envision?
Yes. You see, I say Sardar Patel is an Englishman in dhoti. He was an Englishman in dhoti, whereas Nehru was an Englishman in a proper English dress, you can say, or in a sherwani.
Mhm.
So definitely he was influenced by it. And secondly, what I say is that I do not know whether he actually intended to cause this damage to Hinduism, but definitely he was on the mode to please the minorities.
Okay.
Because no, these provisions, these 6 articles, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, are essentially the rights given to minorities to the detriment of the majority.
Okay.
So there were also other matters relating to where Sardar Patel was responsible for minority appeasement and all that. So there's nothing new, but unfortunately, no, Hindus are very poor learners from history. First and foremost, they don't know history. They don't like to know it. They don't read it. And secondly, even if they read it also, then they get swayed by emotions rather than by rationality. So this is the thing. I think we have digressed. What was the other question? I forgot.
The question was over there, and sir, you have given a very beautiful definition of appeasement, that minority rights to the detriment of majority.
Yes.
Now, ubhay trapti ke bina nyay nahi ho sakta. This is the Indic pantheon. It has to be mutually beneficial. And I think, so the premise of amending, so when you have pleaded to the Prime Minister that this article needs to be amended, and this will be the start of it all. As you said, that as we popularly known the term appeasement, but then all kind of lobbies do come. You have defined it beautifully. So amendments premise you have given the global case studies that 100 odd Christian countries, 50 to 60 countries are Islamic in nature. So this kind of a word view that the whole world is religious in nature. And you also mentioned very beautifully that communism was again a form of governance, but Russia was advancing the Russian civilization. Yes. And even China, communist China, is advancing the Chinese civilization. I think these premises are quite very interesting. So while we worship Patel, like we have to admit the fallacies or the failures of the great men, say 70 years back. So what do you think, what are the impediments? What are the political impediments you feel towards this, I would say, this ushering of Ram Rajya somewhere, one step at a time? This actionable sutra you are saying, it's a very, very well logically driven, a very, I would say, an elaborate commentary you have given it across. So where lies the challenge? That will help.
See, what is Ramarajya, we must understand. Ramarajya means essentially that the state will not discriminate against anyone on the basis of anything, whether it is sex or whether it is gender or religion or faith or anything. And then the Rajya Dharma means that protection of everybody irrespective, without seeing who is he or what is he. That is what is Ramarajya. And welfare, that includes welfare enforcement of law. But the question is, the biggest impediment is our constitution itself. It does not allow Ramarajya to prevail because it discriminates people. Now, if you have to usher in Ramarajya, the first and foremost thing is equal rights for Hindus. Because majority of Hindus are denied equal rights by Articles 25 to 30, thanks to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Now you make them equal. There is, interestingly, in the year 1995, Syed Shahabuddin, have you heard of him? Heard about him? Syed Shahabuddin was a member of parliament. He was a Janata Party leader. Of course, slightly communal, you can say. He introduced a private member bill in Lok Sabha, bill number 36 of 1995, wherein he said that the aspirations to transmit one's own knowledge intergenerationally is common to every group of people, every community, irrespective of religion. So therefore, denying Hindus this right through Article 30 is an injustice to Hindus. So therefore, he introduced a bill that the minority vote should be removed and all persons should have the same right. Can you imagine? If I say this, then people will say, no, ye kya bol rahe? But then that is what is fact. You can check it from the. I can share the private member bill also. He said, having this minority-majority dichotomy is harmful to the country, harmful to the social harmony harmful for the development of the country, harmful to our ancient civilization. And he advocated removal of the word minority to be replaced by all persons.
So with this, I think we come to the close of this lovely illumining session, and where Sir has laid the entire premise of ushering Ram Rajya. And Ram Rajya he has explained in such a magnanimous fashion that which is equal to everyone, which doesn't discriminate on anything. The state doesn't discriminate on any parameter per se. And what a lucid commentary, and what a, I would say, actionable sutra, which he has given us on this very day of the Janma Jayanti of Adi Shankara, who established the parampara of Shastrarth, when the real Vedic wisdom was downturned, he was the one who gave the light, and in that very spirit, I think Nageshwara Garu has come and really put forth in a very, very logical and a global commentary forefront. And this is, as we say, that it's a end of a grand beginning. And जब बहुत ज़्यादा political slogans से आज़ादी का अमृत वर्ष मनाया जा रहा है, so maybe this voice, this 25 sutras, 25 pointed thread, what he has given across, addressed to the Prime Minister, I think this can be the start of that Ram Rajya after the Ram temple. Thank you very much, Nageshwara Garu, for such an illumining commentary, for bringing out these very finer nuances that secularism can be a nature of governance, but secularism cannot be the identity of the Indian nation. We, the people of India, are essentially Hindus by identity and nothing. And he said very beautifully during the course of his discourse that the constitution is for us rather than we the people for the constitution. That dichotomy which is happening. Thank you very much. Bahut pranam. I think this will initiate a larger action somewhere or the other, and we hope and we pray for it. Thank you so much, Nageshwara.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you.
Thank you.